also ready. And we can start.
Nu kör vi! Oh, is there like a let's begin, let's start?
We do have an intro.
No, like in French.
Oh. There must be. I don't know what it is.
No.
Nu kör vi.
No, I really don't think that's French.
No, it's
Well,
not.
we'll find out.
Yes.
Hi, I'm the Vine.
And I'm the water. And you are listening to A Cup of Tea.
A podcast about exploring life through each other's eyes?
While sharing a cup of tea with you. Yeah, that sounds normal.
Yeah. For a second, I was like, she's gonna say it?
Yeah. I was like, is it me? Is it my job to say it? I don't think so. But I don't know.
She's here.
Wow.
I don't know what's the last episode that she came to work.
But a long time ago.
Good kitty. Ha. So, for today's episode. What?
I'm just laughing at your weird French.
French? I didn't do anything French.
You're like, ha.
Oh, I guess. That I do that unconsciously now, though. Ha. That?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very dumb to me, but
I don't say it in a serious way.
I know.
So
I know.
Again, today we have what I guess will be at least for me, a very interesting episode because I'm like, so here's the thing. Here's what happened. We did an episode of Pockets in the Universe where the water was talking to us about. Do you remember when I asked Evicha, like, oh, what is this thing that we're talking about? Because to me, it's like about, I don't remember what I said, but she said that it was about an eating disorder. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that we were seeing it that way. So what would you say that your pocket was about?
I would say it's about self-image issues regarding body weight.
Yeah.
I think that's how I would put it.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So we did that pocket, and apparently there was a lot of stuff unsaid.
Yeah.
That I'm very intrigued about, because you really wanted to talk about this on ACOT, which I think maybe it's a little bit. Do you feel like it's because it's a different audience also, and like the way you can talk about it? It's a different
space. Yes, it's a different space. It's not just it's not just an interview, but more of a conversation. And I feel like Pockets is more of a.
It's a little bit more of an interview.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little more one-sided.
And it's a little more one-sided, and it's also a little more not necessarily filtered. But no, I was gonna say.
You did?
Before I started talking, I was like, oh, she skipped it this time. And then I was gonna be like, do you know that you skipped mentioning what we're drinking?
But I remember before you could say anything.
Yeah. Sad.
What are you drinking?
Rooibos raspberry. That is hot. Because I didn't say I wanted it cold.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about that.
I'm a little... in that case, why wouldn't you just have...
Like, I didn't think about it. Like, I just, because you started putting the hot pot. So I was like, oh, yeah, she's making tea or whatever. And in no moment did my mind cross my mind that it was supposed to be cold, I guess. I don't know. It was, I don't know.
I see. It's okay.
Is it not too bad that you're having hot tea?
No, it's nice. It kind of goes with the...
feeling?
Mood. Yeah, I was going to say.
Very well. It is.
So.
A little.
Yeah.
I am drinking a sort of... What's the name of that orange thing again?
Turmeric?
Yes, I always forget. I know it in Spanish. I'm always like, oh yeah, curcuma. But what is it?
Turmeric?
Turmeric. Like my brain just blanks. Turmeric. It's like a turmeric, gingery, cinnamony latte situation.
I feel like I'm being very emo right now with my hair like this, but I couldn't quite find a way to put it like with the headphones. I don't know. I'm trying to find like the right situation.
Does that work for you?
I don't know. Not yet. Maybe I do need to use it like a headband.
Yeah. I always smush my hair with them.
Yeah. But you put it on like you put your hair on the left side of your face, which I feel like I also do. But since your
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it works visually. If you're listening to this, so anyway, getting back to the point.
Yes. About the different space.
About the different space, yes. Yeah, Pocket is a bit of a different space. It's more, maybe, I don't know if structured or more like a little bit of story based in a way.
Kinda.
And it's very, it's this singular topic.
Yeah.
Where here we say whatever we want, basically.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of, this is like a meta commentary
on your episode.
On my episode. Because I was editing it and listening to it, and I thought, oh, I didn't say this, and I didn't say this other thing. And in my mind, it all makes sense, of course. But I feel like for somebody who might be listening to the Pocket, it can be completely nonsensical because
I might be a little biased, but I think it makes sense.
I don't know. I mean, now I think it does, like after the editing and stuff. Yeah. But there was a lot of information that I feel I could have mentioned. It would have been relevant to mention, and I didn't. So then I was like, oh, I mean, it's something that I would like to mention to like add to that. And then also like other thoughts in general that I had after that. So that's what I don't know. I'm curious about doing here. Basically.
Do you want to start with why you didn't say things that you were thinking? Or do you want to leave that for later?
I mean, well, this will be kind of a bit of a perfect way to start it, because in the moment, like I had been preparing myself for it. I was like, not like actively doing anything, but
just like mentally prepared.
Like, oh yeah, I'm doing the Pocket, and then here's kind of the things that I want to be saying, and I sort of framed it in my mind. And then the day came, and I was like, why am I even doing this? No, I wanted to fail a little bit, and yeah.
Why did you want to bail?
If you remember, that's why we started, and I was very scatterbrainy.
Yeah.
And, because I think on that day I wasn't particularly being super enthusiastic and super like, oh yeah, this is, like my. And there was also this. I've been trying to pick the right word, but it's like between a fear and an insecurity, and like there's like something there, but that I don't talk about it with anybody, which is something that we've talked about, because I don't know if it was in the final episode of the Pocket or if we just said it while we were recording, that you and I don't talk about how could I describe it? Well, I guess the topic itself, like the body image related to body weight. We it's like it's not something that we talk about
Not really. I mean, I think after the pocket, it became more of a topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, not really. At some point in the pocket, I mentioned that, like, I am aware of Tavis's, my niece, her journey with the whole like body weight and all of that, and I understand her struggle because I have seen it. But yours, if you had asked me, if you had that struggle, I would be like, oh no, like she's fine, like she's good. She doesn't have an issue with.
Yeah, which is how I think how we started the pocket. And I was like, no, I mean, she clearly has a bit of an eating disorder, and I don't. But, and I think partially the reason, like, one of the things I wanted to mention was, like, my history, my record with going to see nutritionists and doctors and stuff, which she went over a bit in her pocket. So I was like, maybe I won't necessarily be talking extensively about the number of people that I've gone to see or whatever. But then after we recorded and everything, I was like, no, I think it would have been maybe relevant.
How come?
Because in the same way that she mentioned how this one specific nutritionist was super helpful to her because it shifted the way she thought about eating and all of that, then for me, there was also this one nutritionist that I went to see with my mom who was very focused on, you're going to learn how to eat so that you don't need me in your life as a constant thing, which was really cool. So my kind of what I didn't say, I guess, was that I remember my mom taking me to see, like, nutritionists since I was probably like 10 or something.
Unprompted by you?
Yeah. I never asked to go see anybody until I was like 15, I think.
Were you like aware? Did it bother you when you were younger, like when you were little, like elementary and stuff?
It didn't bother. I mean, in like first or second grade, no. In third, I think starting third or fourth grade, then I was very self-aware. And before that, I was also very self-aware, but in a different way, because I remember being in dance class when I was, I don't know, 5 or something. And I was always the tallest kid. And also the, like, physically largest, probably. But I wouldn't say I was necessarily a fat kid. Because I look at my photos from when I was, 5 or 6 or something.
And it's just, like, proportionate?
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I don't know, you know how there are kids there's kids that are evidently chubby, and you can like see like babies that are like chubby babies. And I've seen photos of myself, like, I don't think that if I was my own parent, I would have been like, oh, my child is fat. It was more of a, oh, I mean, it's a big body kid. And you grow out of it. Like, eventually you kind of grow out of it, I feel like, in most cases. Because that at least is what happened with my cousins. But I don't know if it's because I had an aunt who had a lot of problems. My dad's side of the family, everybody's overweight, that everybody was very aware of it and very like, oh, you don't want to be like your aunt.
Like paranoid about it?
Yeah. And so it was this constant comparison that I mentioned in the pocket, where starting when I was probably like, 10 or 11, my mom would be, and my grandma saying, you don't want to end up like your aunt. Which in my mind, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, there's such a wild difference.
Like, to you, there was no comparison.
Yeah. for starters, she was, I don't know, 30 years older or something, like 32 years older than me. So that was one wild difference. And the other one was that I was like, she's massive. And I don't think I mean, I know that I'm the tallest kid. I know that I'm not a skinny kid, but I wouldn't say I am a rolling ball of a kid, you know? But they made me feel that way. And so I was like, I guess, I mean, go to the nutritionist, sure, because I didn't really have a choice.
Because they took
they took me.
Right.
And there was that, and then what I later saw was the diet culture around my mom and her friends, which I think we mentioned in one of the lives with my aunt, about how there was a moment recently in life when I was looking at a picture of one of my mom's friends, and I remembered seeing it was her and my mom getting ready for some party or some event when I was around 12 or 13. And they would be so upset about, oh, I need to lose 5 pounds or 3 or whatever. And I'm like, I look so fat. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know? So it was very prompted, I think, for a concern about me and my potential future looking like my aunt, which there's also this sort of, there's a health component to it because my grandma, my doctor grandma was, and my grandpa too, were concerned about high blood pressure, cardiac events, general poor circulation, and problems that stem from obesity. And there was also, but they wouldn't say it, except for my grandma, the aesthetic side of it too. And that same aesthetic side worked in a different way from my mom's side, because it was that vanity of, oh, I'm not skinny enough to be on this dress that I want to put on, you know? And I remember my mom saying at some point we were shopping for a bathing suit or something like that. And I tried a bikini on, and my nonna, my mom's mom, said, oh, but it's so little clothing.
Revealing?
It's so revealing. And my mom said, no, but she can let her enjoy it. She's young. She can put it on. She can wear it. Well, she has the body to wear it, or something along those lines. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I can do that. But at the same time, it means that there's an expiration date.
Yeah.
On this.
Yeah.
Right? Which then I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you had that
not immediately,
but at some point.
But recently after, I realized the fucked upness of that comment, which was not, I mean, she said it
innocently.
Yeah.
But
that also revealed how much that oh, you have to have the perfect body, the magazine type silhouette that her and her friends were being bombarded with forever. And so that, I don't know, that bugged me a lot. It still bugs me now, because I feel like you have all these people trying to lose 10 pounds to quote unquote look amazing and put on this whatever outfit. And that feels very toxic to me. But I can see that from afar. It's it's not what I'm dealing with normally. It's a distant event. Kind of. And I don't know how it got here, but I wanted to go back to the beginning of the episode and how I was a little reluctant to record. And because today, as I was getting here, I was also I was in an okay mood. I was like, oh, it's a nice day or whatever. And then I got really creeped out.
Creeped?
Yeah, because I took a lift to come here. And the lift guy was very chatty. And then he looked at my photo on the lift thing, which is it's like a high school photo or something. And he said, "Oh, you look very different." And then I didn't understand what he was saying. He was like mumbling. There was a lot of noise and I couldn't understand his question. But it was something like, "Oh, when did you lose so much weight?" Or something along those lines. It was something about weight being different between that photo and now. And I don't know. Like I didn't ask him to repeat the question.
So what did you say?
I was like, "Oh, it's a really old photo." And he's like, oh, that makes sense. And I don't know. Yeah, I was wondering, like, one, did he mean that my face looks rounder in that photo? Or it looks rounder now? What? Also, why the fuck does he care?
I don't think no.
You know, and 3, I was like, this is very on topic for today. But it also, it like, I felt myself getting defensive about it. Because it's such a thing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about why it matters so much and
why it triggers?
Yeah. So yeah, it got me in a mood. In which I was not gonna say, "Oh, I don't want to record." But I was like very annoyed. You know? And the other day, it's kind of interesting to see that on the one hand, you were very surprised, or I don't know if surprised, but we've mentioned that because it's not a topic that we talk about, it's not like on the top of your mind of things that you think I think about.
Yeah.
Or of me, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I also said it in the pocket that it's like one of the like number one things in my life. And the other day, my aunt said to me, "Oh, there's this influencer girl in Mexico that my team suggested I talk to and I interview her, but I didn't like what she's doing." Because apparently she's saying that I don't really know. This is just information
like
that
what
was
your aunt
relayed to me. Yes, I have no firsthand knowledge of this. But she was saying that this influencer girl, in an effort to be body positive, was saying stuff that verged on, I don't know how to describe it, but that apparently she says that, oh, it's okay to be gorging on a ton of food, and it's okay to not constantly be worrying about eating too much. I don't know. Something along those lines. Which I said, oh, that sounds dreadful to me. I have, again, not have seen this woman's content. Don't really know what she talks about. But what my aunt said was, you could be an influencer like her. Talking about the same sort of body positive topics that she talks about, but with this health focus that you have. Because she asked me, and this is something that I've kept very, very, very private. Because it's something that I only talk about with her. That last year, when I was in Mexico, she came up to me and she was like, I need to ask you something. But it's only if you want to do this. I don't know what prompted the question, but I was like, what are you talking about?
Intrigued.
And she said, I want to know if you care about your weight. And if you do, if you want to do something about it, if not, she was basically asking me if I cared about it, if I wanted to do something, and if I did, then she would help me if I wanted to. And then I TLDR'd the whole story. It's like, yes, I do care. At this point, I am actually exhausted from
caring?
like, no, not caring. It was not one of those moments, but I said, I actually feel bad because I've been eating like shit. I'm not going, I'm not exercising a lot at all, I feel like. Also, I do think that there's a lot of the like outside wellness of like my social life and in general what I'm doing and like my demeanor towards I guess life in general does affect me a lot in that way. So if I'm sad or if I'm having a really bad time in life, I know that I gain a weight super fast.
I see.
Right? So
like it'll affect.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she said, if you want to do something about it, I can do it with you. And I said, yeah, that sounds good because I do feel like I need some accountability. That always works. If I do it by myself, I'm good at starting. But then what has recently happened is that I give up at some point. I'm like, oh, I don't need to do it anymore. Like during the pandemic, my brother and his girlfriend and I started doing like P90X and insanity classes and like I don't know, biking and running. Well, they would run. I didn't do the running. And my brother started getting very focused on, oh, I'm gonna eat healthy and I'm gonna do all these things and I was like, oh, cool, awesome, sounds really good. And I was doing it too. And then I got to a point where I was like, oh, I think I can manage. I don't need to be tracking every single thing anymore. And that was a terrible idea. But the point was that I knew what I needed to do, And so anyway, she's been helping me kind of do the same thing. And she had this idea of the influencer stuff. So she was asking me, what's your goal with all this, like, health, weight loss kind of thing? And I said, I want to lose body fat, like decrease my body fat percentage. That was my answer. And she's like, see, that's what I mean. Like, you're not being vain and shallow, and it's not about looks, and it's not about,
but you do care about the look.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I know I'm being, I mean, that is the objective goal. And I needed to be objective.
Yeah.
But I do care about the look too. And that.
Is that hard for you to say that you care about the look?
It's hard to talk about it in general. It's harder to talk about the look.
So when it's about health, you find it easier to process.
Yeah. Which is why I feel like the pocket is a little shallow.
Yeah, now I see it. I still think that it's good for a pocket. It's like a good sort of dipping your toes in your experience.
Yeah.
But this is giving me like a lot more insight into your experience. Like it goes way more than I thought.
See, it's a meta pocket.
It is.
Yeah. I feel like you have another question, but I don't
know. No. Oh. It was because I saw it. I can see it. Like that it's hard to talk about the look.
It is. It is. And
so, if you know where to go, that's okay. If not, I could say something.
Well, you can say.
Well, no, I'm just wondering, like, because we started talking about the influencer girl and your aunt and whatever. Is that something that you're entertaining, or is just like to talk about this stuff?
I don't know, because of the same thing.
Because it's
like
fun.
I don't know that I want to put myself in that position. It's not the only thing, but I feel like it's becoming a target. for people to talk
you
shit.
would become the target.
Yeah.
Has it been, and I've been meaning to ask this,
yeah,
which I could have asked in a one-on-one friend conversation instead of here, but I guess here we are.
I think I know what you're going to ask.
I think, yeah, I think you know. But just for the audience that are not reading our minds the way that we do, how has it been for you to like have your pocket out, read comments and stuff like that?
Well, for one, because I'm not on Instagram anymore. I haven't seen the comments on Instagram.
I mean, your pocket's not on Instagram yet. Okay. So it's just YouTube comments.
I did yesterday when we were driving to the ballet. I read one comment and I was like, what? I genuinely don't follow what they're saying. It doesn't make any sense. And the other one, I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. Because on the one hand, it also kind of reads like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I was also like, what are you even saying? And my rational brain was like, what? And then like my emotional brain was like, see, people are gonna say shit.
Yeah. Were you mentally prepared?
And I think I was mentally prepared.
I thought you would. Yeah.
But I didn't expect. But like, that's the thing. I think I was mentally prepared.
It's different when it actually happens. Yeah. Okay.
So I had a moment where I was like, okay, I feel affected by this, but it's not going to. It's some random asshole with a computer that can type whatever the fuck he wants to, and I don't really care. You know, so then I was like, yeah, I don't really. I mean, he can say whatever the fuck he wants, and if I take it personally, if I start feeling bad about it, then I'm just gonna be feeling bad about it, and you know, it'll be horrible. So let's cut that shit. Yeah. So I had a bit of a moment, and then I was like, fuck that. Yeah.
Like actually, or just theoretically?
No, like actually.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So then, because this, I guess, is like a tiny bit of like what it could be like. Yeah. If you actually the
exactly. Thing. And so, on the one hand, I'm like, I guess I could see somebody benefiting from me talking about like my experience or whatever. Because I've had the same sort of connection or relatability thing with another person from this girl called Megan Bauer, I want to say, who is a dancer. She's like a rockette dancer. And the way I found her was like some random thing on Instagram once where she was saying, oh, you know, it's so hard to read people's comments about how can I be a professional dancer when I look so fat or something like that. And then she was saying, you know, I've always been like not skinny. I think is how she said it. I've never been a skinny dancer. I've never been a super, super obese person, but I am not, you know, the same size as all the other dancers you see at the Rockettes or something. Like, I am aware that I'm, I think she was a size 12 or 14 or something is what she said. But it annoys me a lot that people would only see that and not my dancing ability. And how they would say, oh, you're like, well, what I've heard also, like, oh, you dance so well for being chubby.
Which is similar to something that happened to you.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, these fucking people. And so I can see how it could be cool for somebody else to also see that. And not just that relatability factor, but also take like a productive approach with it. Because my aunt was saying, you could be, like via talking to other people, but like teaching, especially women, I think she said, how to move more and be healthier and like take more of a health approach, not a vain, I need to look a certain way because people are telling me that I need to look a certain way kind of stuff.
Even though they do want to look a certain way because people tell them they want to look a certain way.
But, I think not everybody might. Because at least what and there's something that I guess I didn't say in the pocket because it was a hard thing to say. But I don't, when you were asking me if I look the way what was it?
If the way you think of yourself is the same way that you look like when you look in the mirror.
Yeah. Like, I don't have body dysmorphia. No, I don't. But
not that far.
No,
like,
no.
I did like not in the more body dysmorphia way.
The thing is, I think there's two sides to that. One is, I see the way I look. I'm aware. And right now, like today, or even when we recorded the pocket, I would have been like, I have a positive outlook on the way I look compared to a year ago.
Okay.
But it's also not the way I want to look.
Okay.
So that's like the part 1 and part 2 of the answer.
Do you have a way that you want to look that you've already looked in the past? Yeah. Or it's a way you haven't? Okay.
No, it's like something I found with photos in which I was like, see these, like, I mean, I know it came from a good place, but I should have been kinder to myself. I didn't.
What do you mean?
Like, there was this photo from, I was probably like 14 or something. And I went to the beach with my grandparents. And there's this photo of me and my grandma, and I'm there wearing like a skirt and a t-shirt. And 1, I really like the outfit. And 2, I was like, I look freaking great. And they were making me feel so bad.
Like the people around you?
Yeah. Telling me, nobody, I think, ever overtly said, you look too fat. But that was the general message. And so it was like, the skinnier would be prettier. You don't want to look like your aunt. Comments. And so I looked at that photo and I was like, what the fuck were these people talking about? It's it was a big leap from that 12, 13, whatever year old photo to being a morbidly obese person who can barely function, which is kind of what they were saying. So I think that's my visual goal. But there's not just a visual goal. Like now there's also, like the whole health nerd side thing that is also true. So I do think that there are people that don't just have the aesthetic goal that they want to look a certain way because they think that people say that they should look that way. But at least because it's my experience, I think that there's a way that, I don't know, like, I like, for example, how some women I know look, and I want to look like that.
Okay.
So it's not just, because Vogue said that I need,
Yeah, no. I do really like in your pocket when you say that it's about your ability to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think everybody should think of even, how we both like the Stay Flexi Guy movement by David.
Yeah.
And
he's awesome.
He is. We love him.
Yeah.
And he has this like reels or shorts when he talks about like, it's not just like being flexible to be flexible, but think about the abilities that you have and the ability that you want to have, and it's like, you want to be able to run, you want to be able to climb things, you want to be able to do things. And I really like that of just not, because I think when it comes to the gym, for example, like I've had such a hard time going to the gym I prefer going to classes like that, just dancing or pole or whatever, but like just going to the gym without someone there to tell me what to do has always been very hard for me because I don't know what to do or how to do it or like what's the like the science of it. Oh. Yeah, exactly. Not just the form, but like the science of it.
Yeah.
Which is something I said somewhere else. So the idea of or the mind frame of think about what you want to do when you were saying like I want to be able to, you said something else and then you said, oh, I want to be able to run if we have to make it to the before they close the parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh, you said if you want to be able to go swimming in a lake in the middle, you know, like in Canada. And I really like that. And I wonder what it would have been like if when we were little or when you were little, they would say like, I guess, oh, like we want you to be able to, because I think of something that the Bicha said that they told her that if she was fat, she wouldn't have any friends because she wouldn't be able to play with her friends.
Yeah.
Maybe in a way that was, I know she didn't take it well because she was like, what do you mean? Like, I play with my friends. What are you talking about? But I wonder if that making it not about the aesthetic, but about what your body can do could be better.
I mean, at least if I do take the influencer, I hate the word influencer, but if I were to do that, that's something that I would say. And I was even thinking about it yesterday when we were in the ballet, which was awesome. If you're in Vancouver, go to the BC Ballet BC, actually.
We did really like
that. Might be my rec for the day.
Yes.
I was thinking about it, and because I saw this, I don't know if it was a podcast or a video or something in the last week in which there was this guy talking about mobility for people of all ages, and it was not Peter Attia. I don't think it was him. I think it was somebody else. But this guy said, if I look at somebody getting up from a chair and I see them like pull their
holding,
that's an alarm sign for me. That means that they don't have the lower body strength to pick themselves up from a couch or a chair.
Oh, wow.
And if you're talking about a 40-year-old,
they should be able to do that.
Yeah. Because they're still young. They're still at an age where they're not starting to lose muscle mass as rapidly as later on in life. And so with that in mind and watching the dancers, I was like, I want to do this thing where we talk about movement and like how movement is life, literally. And
motion is lotion.
And how to, like, I've been thinking about it a lot, how to make movement approachable for a lot of people that feel like they can't do it. Because I think of my grandma, both my grandmas, but especially my dad's mom, who used to go swimming. Her whole life, she swam. She was never like a gym person or a tennis or whatever. She just swims. But she couldn't do it anymore after she had a stroke. And now she's worried, like she would like to go back to swimming, but she's worried that she basically drowns in the pool because something happens. And I keep trying to find ways to have her do body weight exercises. And I was talking about this with my uncle when he picked me up from the airport in Houston. And I said, yeah, that's like the mobility, because he also read Outlive by Peter Attia. And we were talking about it. And he said, yeah, the one that struck me the most was the mobility one. And so we were saying, yeah, something about like finding a way for her to be more not be more active, but be more open to some kind of physical training. Because of the same thing that she has a very hard time getting up from a chair. she has good balance, but sometimes because of the stroke, her inner ear kind of got a little wacky. So sometimes she gets vertigo and she's like, oh, I'm going to fall, which is not, she's not really going to fall, but she feels like it. So I was like, how? And it's something that I've been thinking a lot about for at least 2 years.
Wow.
Like, how do we make it approachable so that people are not intimidated by moving? You know, like, some people think a squat can be horrible. And they're like, I can't do that. You know, but it's like, well, you can sit on a chair. So your body is able to do the movement. It's just a matter of finding the way to do it for you, you know? So anyway, that was a large tangent that was like completely off, but yeah, like the idea of having a functional body is a very big motivator for me too.
Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah. So going back to the influencer.
Yes.
Triggering situation.
Yeah. So I would do that. You know, if I was an influencer, it'd be more like, sure, yes, weight and management and all that, but not with a all-you-can-eat approach, kind of. But thinking, I mean, sure, you can eat everything, but be aware that if you eat 10 bags of chips in a day, that's probably not the best way to go about.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about it. I don't know.
You are thinking about it.
The thing is, I see the positive side of it.
Yeah, I think there's a big positive side of it. And
then I also see, one, I feel like it's such a high maintenance job.
Yeah.
That I'm like, do I really want to get into that? And my aunt was saying, yeah, and I mean, I think her team is very intense. And so they keep telling her that she has to post every single day, like have a story up every single day, post, I don't know, however many times a week, do lives and do, like, I don't know, a bunch of stuff that I don't want to be doing. So I thought, okay, maybe I could, but take like a slower version of that, where maybe I post once a week and I do some stories, and I don't know, if I did it. Because the other thing that is also like there is not exactly what people are gonna think, but and maybe kind of dumb. Because on the one hand, I think, oh, people are gonna be aware of this. Like, I'm gonna bring it up to the surface, you know?
They're gonna know that you care about it?
Yeah. So it's like telling you, like, oh, now you're gonna know that I care about it. Which I don't care that you know, you know? And in the abstract person,
if you don't care that I know, what would you care if they know?
That's the fucked up thing.
I know.
Where, like, I don't care. That's the thing. I know you. And, like, I know that the people that I care about don't give a fuck. Or that they might be supportive about it. But it's the acquaintances. The random people in life that I know, but that I'm not friends with. And I feel like I'm not friends with them because...
I thought you were talking more about, like, absolute strangers. But you're worried about acquaintances.
No. Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, strangers are strangers. I don't know them. I don't care what they say.
So you don't care.
You know?
Like, you don't care about their hate.
Yeah,
the strangers' hate. You don't care.
No.
What is it that you care about?
I don't care about necessarily about acquaintances' hate. I care about... I mean, the thing is, I wouldn't call it hate. I guess maybe it is, but I thought of more of, like, the gossip aspect of it.
That they would say what? Or think what?
I don't know. That's why it's so ridiculous. Because I don't even know what they would say. I would probably don't even hear it unless they said it to my face. So it's like, oh, what if this random person that I went to high school with sees it, and now it's like, oh, she's doing this, you know?
She's a body influencer person.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people might be super like, oh, wow, that's really cool that she's doing that. And some other people might be like, ugh, she's doing that. I don't know.
I know. I feel like most people either don't care or, I am aware. So it's a very irrational thing. I also am aware.
But just because it's an irrational thing doesn't mean that it doesn't move things in you.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
So I don't know about the influencer future.
Let us know what you think.
But my final thought that I think it's coming back to me. I've been thinking lately a lot about the sort of like the acquaintance thing of, oh, I'm gonna bring people's attention to it. Because I don't know. I think I didn't say this in the pocket, but maybe you'll remember. And I said this to my aunt because she asked me the other day about it. And along with the goal, like the body fat thing, I said, I want to not worry about the fit, or like, well, one side of it is not worry, and the other side is more like be confident in the space I take up in a room.
You did say that.
I did say that? Okay. Then, yeah, I was thinking about it recently because I think it ties with the bringing people's attention to it. Because there's a part of me that says, oh, I mean, it's not like people don't know that you're not a size 0 person, you know? But at the same time, if I start being more talkative about it, that's what I don't want people to just see me like, oh, I'm this, I don't know, body positivity plus size person talking about body image.
Like the rocket being like, oh, all they see is that I'm a big dancer.
Yeah.
Instead of a great dancer.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't love that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Because I guess it would be... I guess it's just natural, you know, because it'd be like what people associate you with.
Yeah. And I that's probably the number one reason I don't want to do it.
I do remember when Tabby was saying that, oh, like every... I don't know if she said fat, but maybe like every fat influencer that I've seen, even if they're not like a health influencer or they might be a lifestyle person. Yeah. And they have at least one video where they talk about their weight and they explain, and they're like, I'm not promoting obesity over here, something like that.
Yeah.
I guess it's different. Like, okay, so maybe for, let's say, a lifestyle influencer, like a plus size lifestyle influencer, I guess they would get a lot of comments of like, oh, you're somehow, something in your content says that you're promoting obesity. And then they have to explain, or they choose to explain why that is not the case. And maybe they share some of their own experience with their health or plus size journey. I don't know. But I would think that other than quote unquote stupid people that only see that they are fat beyond whatever their brand is, I would think that because their brand is something else, people see that. But maybe if what your brand would be is like very targeted to health, but more specifically would it be, I guess, in a more specific like plus size directed, or just like health in general?
No, I would do health in general.
Well, then maybe, like it wouldn't be just that. Because I think of Lizzo, and I think Lizzo talks a lot about how much she loves herself and stuff. And when I think of her, I think about her music, or her, I think what is it, like just underwear or just activewear? She has clothes. But I don't know how much of the audience that she might have sees her as an artist, as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, versus how many people see her as just fat, just plus size.
Well, I would venture and say most people see others as like very one-dimensional, especially in that kind of parasocial situation. I would think that the rule is not remembering, oh, Lizzo is like not just a singer, but also all these other things she does.
Yeah. But what I mean is that there's always going to be the issue of what the masses are going to say and think or whatever. But I think as little as a small percentage of the population or the audience might there be. Like what I'm trying to say is that not all of your audience, or what will actually be the people that do follow you, I don't think that they will keep that one dimensionness, because it's also like, of course you would have a one dimension perception of someone the less close you are to them, because that's all you see. So that makes sense. That's even natural,
Yeah.
So I think if someone does start following you, they're going to get to know you more. They're going to get to know your message more. And I think that's actually what matters. Not trying to persuade you to do it. I'm just saying, if that's your worry of the one dimensionness, I think it's a natural thing that's going to happen for a great percentage of who might cross your path.
Yeah.
But then, like, slowly, I think people would connect to you. And then it's not just like that thing that you fear is not going to happen with them specifically.
I also, the more I hear you say that, the more I'm like, that's just so stupid. Like,
your worry?
Yeah.
But it's okay. Now that we talked about it, you see it, you're like, and it's less of a thing. Because I do think that it's a fair emotion, right? It might be a stupid thought, so to speak. But it's because there's a real emotion. There's a real fear and worry and insecurity. And you might get defensive about the prospect of doing something like that, because you are putting yourself out there and you would be in a vulnerable position. So it makes sense. But that's why we talk about it. And then you're like, oh yeah, that thing that I was saying, that's very silly of me.
Yeah. And I don't know, that I think one of the other things I didn't say and I just thought about was in the meta commentary nature of the more the more I talk about it in a way, I can see how either people don't care or they're like supportive about it. Like my aunt, for example.
Did you actually do something after your aunt asked you about it and you were like, I do care?
Because when she asked me about it, I said, yeah, I've been actually thinking about this since my grandma misinterpreted this question that I asked her. And she asked me if I had gone to see a doctor or if I'd done anything about it. So she went with me to get my blood work done, and then I sent that to my uncle. who's a doctor. That's why I sent that to him. And
did anything come from that?
I had anemia.
What?
At that point, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was interesting. I was also like, what a random thing. But
what a random thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know why you had anemia? Were you not eating
like
something?
Low iron? No, I don't know. I mean, it was like not full on.
And yeah. Like on the
low iron.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and then I mean, I could also see in my limited knowledge that like I'm not pre-diabetic or anything. I don't have I have low blood pressure in general, so I'm good. Mm-hmm. Like I also have a good resting heart rate and also like in general and stuff. So I was good.
And I don't know if this is a very stupid question. But do you know the science or like the I get biology? I don't know what I'm saying. Of why your dad's side of the family tends to be overweight?
I do think there's a genetic component to the with how easily you can gain weight and keep it. Because I've read something about mice, and there was a study where they had two groups of mice and they were controlling how much they could eat. So one group of mice would eat just when they would give them food, and the other one had ad libitum, or however, or I don't know if I said that properly. Food,
as much as they wanted,
whatever. Yeah. And then after that, they tracked this other group of mice that was fed all the time, or they made them become obese, and so they were also hyperglycemia. It's like they had a lot of high blood sugar. I'm gonna say high blood sugar, high blood pressure, and so they were sort of seeing if after they had become obese, they would lose the weight, and they were seeing that there's a hormonal component that they were not accounting for, because for a very long time, people were studying obesity in this like energy balance framework, where
like
the more you eat,
stuff?
Yes, exactly. The more calories you eat, the more calories you store if you don't move enough, right? But it turns out it's not
as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course not.
When your body gets used to like storing fat, even when you have like you're no longer eating a ton of food all day, you're eating less, but then your body might still be in that same mode where
because it's what it's
you're
used
storing fat. Yeah. Which is why, I mean, also like
it kind of makes sense to me in a conditioned way.
Yeah, you know it's a little bit. I think it might be. Yeah, you could say that. And that's why those new medicines like Ozempic, and have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
There's this new, like, it became a huge thing that there's always been medicine for diabetic people so that they can lose weight because for the diabetes, because I'm not sure if there's just a threshold or if it's like a permanent thing, but when you have diabetes, you can go back and like not have diabetes. But I don't know if that's what. I don't know if there's like a
limit to like you can't anymore.
But I think it was something about doctors wanting to bring people back from diabetes. with these medicines that work based on hormones. So they, I'm not sure exactly how those work, but they regulate, I think, leptin and ghrelin levels, which are like the hunger hormones. So they signal when you're hungry and when you're full.
Mm-hmm.
So those medicines, which the Ozempic thing is a thing called semaglutide, they work on your leptin levels to tell your brain that you're full. And so people are not eating as much because they're like, oh, I'm full, so I'm going to stop eating. And people started taking, like, random regular people and celebrities and stuff started taking that to lose weight, which worked.
Mm-hmm.
But it has the side effect of, if you stop taking the medicine, you go like, whoop, you recover the weight you had and even gain more.
Why? Because because
your brain is like, there's also this like concept of your brain's ideal weight. So your brain tries to keep you in the same place.
Oh, wow.
Constantly. And when you lose a lot of weight rapidly, then it's like, oh, no, there's something must be wrong. So we need to fit. So that's part of why yo-yo dieting is even worse than regular dieting, because when you lose a lot of weight, then you go back up, but more than before, and then you go back. I don't know if that answers the question.
I guess. I mean, I just thought, like, maybe also or what I thought with that a little was, like, maybe after you take the medicine and stuff, it messes up your brain's response. Like, your brain doesn't really know anymore what full is, because it was an outside thing telling it, oh, this is full now. But that might just be me coming up with ways to explain it.
I don't know how the actual what the actual mechanism is when you stop taking it. I don't know if it's that, because this medicine is controlling the leptin levels in your body. I don't know if when you're out of it, then your body starts dropping. Like, let's say this thing, your baseline leptin is maybe like this, and the semaglutide stuff brings it up here. I don't know if it's that you stop taking it, so you're here again, and so that means that you're never full, and so you keep eating a lot, or if it's not just that, but also the brain's own general function of, oh, we need to keep storing fat, because that's part of it. Like, there's we're being very nerdy right now, I feel like, and I there's a part of me that I'm like, I don't have the credentials to be talking about this. You should go to Huberman or somebody that knows a lot more.
Or Peter
Attia. Yes. As far as I know, it has to do with, again, like, the ideal weight your body thinks you should be on, or that is used to being on, and the hormone stuff, like with the rats. Like, as much as they kept feeding them less food, the rats still kept storing fat and not losing weight. And that's where I stopped being vain and stopped thinking about how I look and think about...
Well, I don't think that you stop, but maybe you prioritize the other stuff.
Yeah, because then, like, the problem, there's, like, subcutaneous fat, and there's also interstitial fat. And so the subcutaneous fat is, like, under your skin, right? And so it
keeps you warm.
The muffin top and the, like, I feel like I was gonna say, like, the brazo de tamalera. I don't know what the name for that could be in English, but
it's basically this here when it's, like, wiggly.
Yeah, wiggly chicken arms or whatever. And then there's the fat that's in your tissue, like between your liver and your intestine, like between and your organs, stomach and whatever, and that difficults the function of your body. So subcutaneous fat is not bad.
So, like,
so much
belly fat, like beer belly. What is that?
I don't fully know.
Okay, I
think that's more
Subcutaneous?
No, that's more interstitial fat. Because that's, you know how there was this, I remember this from high school, how in Japan, they were taking this very serious approach against obesity, and they were measuring people's waists. I've been saying interstitial, which I think is right, but the better term I think is visceral fat. But they were measuring people's waists, and based on this ratio of height to waist measurement, they would determine people's obesity level. And if they were more than, I don't know, some number, they would be like, okay, so you're obese, you need to lose weight. Which is a good marker, I think, for visceral fat. Like, the more visceral fat, yes, the worse off you are. Like, maybe it doesn't matter as much if you had a giant butt and big arms, big legs, or like double chin or whatever.
But isn't it a little
that? What?
Well, like I remember when like you and the Bicha were talking about the, what's the thing called that it tells you if you're obese because of your weight and your height? Yeah, that thing. Where
that's
like,
stupid.
Well, in that kind of similar way, I feel like measuring people's waists, because I'm like I see a lot of different bodies.
That was a problem with the Japanese thing.
Well, yeah, like there's mostly women that have like a lot of waist, and there's bodies that don't have like that specific kind of shape.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
but that's the thing. Like, it's not. I don't think it's a rule to be applied blindly.
Yeah.
But it is a way of knowing. Like if you see somebody with a beer belly, I'm guessing it's probably visceral fat.
Well, yeah, I guess because it's not proportionate to their whole body.
Yeah, and because also it happens with older people. Like, I feel like, I mean, there can be 20-year-olds with beer bellies. But what I'm thinking of most is that as we age, we start not just storing fat subcutaneously, but viscerally. Like there's, I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think there's a threshold to how much body you can store subcutaneously.
How much fat?
Or something like that. And when you reach that, then you start doing visceral fat or something. I'm not sure. I kind of remember reading that. So when you reach that moment, it's like, oh, then you should be worried about that.
It just, I find so much of this like very interesting, and before I used to think this of psychology, and I would be like, we should all be teaching young kids about how their brain works and how their mind works and their feelings and their thoughts and negative thoughts. I was like, this is so important. Like, why are we learning math instead of this or whatever, And now, on top of that, I feel like there's also so much of education that's lacking when it comes to how your body works and I understand that it's in like the wisdom, the knowledge in science. Like, science is getting better about how our body works and stuff. And thank you, Peter Attia. But and maybe this is just me talking from where I am right now, and maybe me as a kid wouldn't care in the same way that we just when you're little and you don't really take what people give you, even though it might be really good for you, and you're just like, yeah, whatever, But I would, because I remember when we were little and having like physical education, and that was basically like during the year, it was like, oh, this couple of months we're gonna learn how to play soccer, and then this couple of months we're gonna learn how to play basketball, and then baseball. And I'm like, no, this is what we should have learned, what we should be learning in nutrition and food. And like, I also understand, you know, like how nutrition has also evolved. And it was like, oh, the food pyramid that there was, I don't know, 50 years ago is not the same food pyramid that we have right now. Or what we were saying the other day of like, oh, doctors in, I don't know what decade, they're like, oh yeah, smoking is good for you. And now it's like, what the fuck? You know, so I guess I get that it is evolving, and I get that there's new information and stuff. But I'm just like, please reinvent education in a way where we learn more real stuff. I'm not saying the math's not real. I understand that the world works in mathematical ways, and it's very important. I'm not saying don't teach math or whatever other thing that I can come up with. But the core of becoming a human being, because again, since I've been having thoughts about having kids for like a couple of years now, not that I'm having kids soon, but just like my mind has been working in parental ways. And I've been I have this constant question in me of like, how would I like guide my children into life, or like teach them the ways, or whatever it is. And I think of like, or when we had that pocket also about adulting and how we feel so unprepared for it, because the things that we were taught were not very real and practical, and just, you know, so in that, all of that just adds to my sense of, you know, how do you make functional human beings and not just workers or whatever they've been doing with us, you know?
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that. And maybe, I guess not maybe, but I must be very biased, because it also all depends on what content I get and what I look for and what I want to learn and what I actually research and whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm biased in saying that I'm happy that it seems to me like we are in general becoming more health conscious, like health aware, like wanting, you know. But I see well, if you watch these YouTube videos and you watch these documentaries and you listen to these podcasts and these people and, you know, Huberman Lab and all of that stuff, it's like, well, of course you would think that. But maybe the general population is not having that.
I've noticed that, at least in two people, this is a very small sample, but the behavioral change came from, one, a health scare, or a moment of like, oh, okay, I need to be careful. And the other one, I think, was a little bit more of prompted by vanity, but then sort of for this person, it took a turn, and it was like, oh,
health.
Yeah. Because of, I guess, the future, like looking forward to future stuff. So
that's important.
I think that's a cool way of seeing it. I mean, they both end up being about the future. Because it's like, oh, I don't want to die right now. And the other one is like, oh, I want to still enjoy my life ahead of me.
Right.
Which I think most people can relate to that. I mean, I would think that most people, maybe not, maybe you have to be a little older than 20 or a teenager.
Yeah, I think so.
But you want to, I don't know, move better, be able to do stuff. There's, I mean, a lot of memes and jokes about, oh, when you turn 30 and your back starts hurting. And I don't think it has to. You know? But it's also it has to do with the education thing and how we see physical activity as a negative thing. Like, it's a punishment. It's always, oh, I ate a donut. Now I have to go run 30 minutes or whatever, you know? Or there's a sort of, like a negative association with it. With sports or with physical activity on the one hand. And then on the other is health, like nutrition is seen like, oh, I have to be eating lettuce all day. And that's going to be healthy. And it's like, no, you know? Yeah. So I guess it's part of challenging or finding an ideal new education where we learn about movement and nutrition in a more wholesome way. But that's very utopic. So the maybe practical approach to that. I mean, I see it being very far.
Maybe.
But I mean, not that it can't happen, but maybe the practical approach would be to say, oh, I mean, if you want to move, you can move. I mean, there is a, I want to say, inherent. There's an inherent discomfort component to starting to exercise when you've never done it, because you'll be sore and you'll be out of breath, and maybe you'll feel like shit while you're doing it the first few times. I mean, it is an uncomfortable thing. Like, if you think about it physiologically, your body is under stress.
I will say I like the soreness from exercise.
I love it. Yes.
Me too. Paolo doesn't like it, but I feel like
my brother doesn't like it either.
It's a little sad. That might be an overgeneralization.
Yeah.
But there's a little part of me that once you've been exercising enough that your body stops being sore, it's a little sad because then I feel like I'm not actually exercising.
Then you increase it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Overload, people.
Yeah, it's a funny sort of reward because I feel like, oh, it hurts. That means that I did it, kind of thing.
The more I think about it, the more I think it might be men that don't like being sore.
Why?
I'm listing down people I know,
and it's men.
They like,
That's funny.
Anyway,
I had another comment.
Okay.
Just like real quick, because at some point you said discomfort. And I do think, and again, this is from my parental thoughts, I do think that there is something very wrong with the culture of comfort.
Yeah.
And I think we should seek discomfort, which I think is a YouTube channel, like Seek Discomfort. And I haven't actually seen them or like watched them, but I agree with their general premise. Yeah, like psychologically, physically, in so many ways, it's just like we've become so used to and almost dependent on comfort and just finding ways to make things.
I know, it kind of rings a bell with, that last Curman episode where they were talking at some point about tolerance to frustration. And
the one about the
parenting.
The parenting.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of like discomfort, frustration, boredom, all these things that tend to have negative associations to it, but that end up being good for us.
Yeah.
I'm not saying being frustrated is good by itself,
but it's how you.
But it's a sign that you're doing something.
Yeah.
Like, I think positive.
Yeah. Today, I was with my nephew at the mall, and we saw a little girl, like, running around, and she fell. And her dad just, like, watched her, and my nephew was very appalled. He was like, what the fuck? Like, why isn't he helping her? And I was like, no, wait. Like, look. I think it's good. Yeah. The guy, the dad was just, like, looking at her.
Yeah.
Not in a mean, like, no, just like, in a,
Yeah.
And the kid wasn't crying. It's not like she hurt herself when she fell. She just fell. And she was like kind of like looking around.
Yeah.
And I think that noticing that her dad didn't freak out, or like there was just like, she just felt like it's fine, you know? And she got up and kept running.
Yeah.
And I was like, see, like it was good that the dad didn't help her.
Yeah.
She wasn't in harm's way, you know, like, and I just really appreciated that moment. I was like, oh, good for you, Dad.
Yes, exactly. So if I become an influencer, basically, I'd be like, yeah, it's okay to be in discomfort.
Yeah.
For a bit. Because that's where you grow.
Oh, I think this same doctor that was talking to Huberman that has the book that says that, like, what? I forget the name of the book. It's like Naturally Good, or like something.
Oh, the parenting.
Yeah, the parenting. Good Inside, I think it's what it's called. Where like her premise is that kids are good inside. You know, they're not trying to be assholes or anything. One would think. And before she did the Huberman one, she talked to Ryan Holiday on Daily Stoic. And I think it was their talk. Sorry if I'm misremembering things. I think it was that episode where they talk about, I think maybe in the book, there's something about how pine cones are like designed to only open up on their not insane, but like really high temperatures. So they only open up in nature during forest fires. Otherwise, they remain closed. So there's no new pines unless like after the fire, which is when you want new pines, right? Yeah. But when they were talking about it, and I loved, and of course I loved it because also it was Ryan explaining it, and just the way he talked about it, and now it's become like a symbol for me, not only because I'm the pine, but like I felt very, it resonated with me a lot. Yeah. This idea of that's the nature of the pine cone, like it will only like fulfill its potential. Destiny. Yeah, almost like that. After a forest fire, and that's you know, the thing that kills everything, and it's the thing that's gonna bring out more life. It's just the whole kind of poetry of it. I was just like, oh, I love this, and it kind of gave me this symbol for my inner mind palace situation. I have a little pine cone now in my mind palace that I think of when I'm going through something hard, where it's like, oh yeah, you know, like seek discomfort, go through the funk, like it's good. And
go Ryan, to the forest fire.
Don't literally, but yes. And I guess Ryan also has The Obstacle is a Way, which I haven't read, but I get the premise. So it's something that I've been getting lately, this message of like do hard things, like make it, you know, and the exercising and the everything and the soreness and the stuff and the things that we're talking about, you know, like it's giving me material for my children, basically. But not only for my children, like I have to do it myself if I want to give it to them. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, this was a very different ending to what I thought would be the ending of the episode.
What did you think the ending
I don't know. I didn't think it would be Ryan Holiday and
the pine cone.
Yeah.
I guess not. But this is where we've gotten to.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you like all this stuff? Well, are you content with what you've said?
I think so.
Are you not going to come to me next week and be like, I should also have said this. Can we do another ACOT about it?
A meta ACOT? No. I think that's good.
Okay.
I think it was mostly about, I don't know.
you processing the idea of becoming an influencer.
No, not just that. No, because it wasn't, the idea of the Meta Pocket was not prompted by that. But a bit of, for a moment I felt like I needed to explain more.
You needed to explain more?
That was one of the things I was thinking about. I was like, oh, I need to elaborate more
for
on this.
For you or for the audience?
I didn't get to that part of the question. I think I do think so, like, for the audience, in the sense of, oh, I think it would make more sense if I say this other thing first, from a storyline point of view. But then also for myself, as a way of, I don't know, make understand it so that they have more information from where to write their stupid comments. I don't know. Something like that.
I think there's a very subtle psychological thing at play of you wanting to express the things that were unsaid. But that's okay.
That's what? I'm intrigued about that, but we don't have any more time to continue this cup of tea.
Yeah, like it's just like, I think maybe in an unconscious way, but maybe a little conscious. Because when I ask is it for the audience or for yourself, and you're like, oh, for the audience because of this, or like for me because of that. But I think there's a psychological component that you may not be aware of just the act of processing by speaking about stuff and things like that. And I think that's a little bit of why you had this need of
I also
revisiting
thought about that.
This. Yeah. Very well. So your
my rec,
yes,
is, if you are near Vancouver, go watch the Now. I don't know when it opens. I mean, when it closes, but the Now show, I want to call it, of Ballet BC, because it was
really good. It was really good. I've been to a couple of them, and I think the Now one is my favorite one.
Yeah,
it was really good. My rec is going to film festivals. We just went to the Vancouver International Mountain Film Festival. That's a mouthful. Also known as the VIMF. And I asked you to accompany me to one showing.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, there's another showing tomorrow. Do you want to go? Oh, there's another showing in 2 days. Do you want to go? Oh, there's this other thing. And we ended up going to so many screenings of things. And it was very inspiring. It was very motivating. So I think, like go to a film festival if you were close to any of them. Or if not, take a road trip. Go see one.
Normal film festival season starts around September. So.
And with that, we'll say goodbye. You have to say, see you next time.
See you next week. Sorry.
Jesus.
Now, bye.
Okay,
see you
bye.
Next week. Thanks for sharing a cup of tea with us.
To watch more episodes of A Cup of Tea, click the link on the right. If you want to watch Pockets in the Universe, go to the playlist on the left.